Hello YouTube, welcome to the masterclasses for the YouTube Symphony Orchestra. I'm Christine Pendrell and I play the Cor Anglais in the London Symphony Orchestra. Today I'm going to talk about preparing Tan Dun's Internet Symphony, the Cor Anglais part, for an audition. Generally, Cor Anglais parts are very melodic. This piece is rather unusual in that most of what you get to play is, although sometimes melodic, mainly for rhythmic effect. It's really important to play this part extremely accurately. You're playing with other people all the way through, and if it's not absolutely right, it's going to sound a complete mess. You may like to think about the sort of reed you'd like to use for this. It will probably be more responsive and freer than the reed you would normally use. In this piece, accuracy of articulation is much more important than beauty of sound. I suggest you start to practice this slowly with a metronome. Pick a speed at which you can play easily, which gives you time to think about what you're doing, and make sure that while you're playing the notes, you're also doing the articulation and exaggerating all the accents, because that's what gives the piece its rhythmic energy. The good news is that the part is quite repetitive, so once you've learnt a few patterns, you've basically mastered the whole piece, and all you've got to do is get it up to the speed required. Remember always to exaggerate the staccato and the accents. It will help you, particularly in the lower register, to keep your embouchure very relaxed, which will let the reed vibrate easily, and it should speak better. With the fast articulated passages, if you're able to double tongue, this will be a great opportunity to show off your skill. If not, it's just a question of practicing until your single tonguing gets fast enough. Here's an example of some of the faster articulated work. And so on. In amongst all the fast tonguing, there are odd melodies which may be familiar to you. For example, in bar 50, and then you're back to some fast tonguing again. You get another example of this melody a little later, but this time it's articulated. Watch how to articulate all the accents. When you get these melodies, make sure you make a real contrast between the big singing legato and the much spikier staccato notes you've been playing earlier. I've suggested that you practice with a metronome. You may already have spotted that in bar 82 this system falls down because there are 2 bars of 7/16. This shouldn't cause you any problems, but if you do find it a bit confusing, break the bars down to their component constituents, which are in this case 2 groups of 2 and a group of 3. So you've got 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If this is still a problem, then a tip I heard the other day which you might find useful is to put words to the beats. In this case, hot dog, hamburger works extremely well and gives you the 7 beats in the bar. When you get to the Allegro vivace in bar 98, don't panic. Although it looks as if it's going to go faster, the beat actually remains the same, so the music sounds the same and you keep playing effectively at the same speed. One of the most difficult problems in this piece is the breathing. Tan Dun has not been kind to us and hasn't given many opportunities to take a breath. There are odd places that you can snatch a quick breath, and remember always there's a neat trick that you can use one place to breathe out quickly and play a few notes and then breathe in again. This obviously doesn't take as long as doing both in one go. So to overcome some of the breathing problems in this piece, from bar 93, this is what I did to make it work in the recording. then he thoughtfully gives you a crotchet rest where you can breathe. What you may have noticed is that I missed out some of the octave leaps. So I missed out the low D sharp in the bar of the Allegro vivace, and the same note in bar 100, and then a similar place a couple of bars later. Hope that's helpful. As an example of an audition piece, I've chosen to talk to you about the Largo from Dvorak's New World Symphony. It's probably the most famous Cor Anglais tune there is, and it almost always crops up in auditions, so it's as well to be prepared. On the face of it, the notes of this solo are extremely easy, but don't be fooled, there's nothing simple about playing it. You need to think about an awful lot of things to make it sound easy. Probably the most important thing sounds very obvious, and that's decide what speed you want to play it. I think it's important to count this solo in 4. If you start subdividing it, you risk losing the line and the legato and chopping it all up too much. Breathing is another important consideration. It's quite possible to breathe this in 4-bar phrases, but I would strongly recommend that you break it into 2-bar phrases. It's much less tiring, especially in a stressful situation, which this often is, and also you don't need to take so long over your breath. Remember also that you don't need to take a huge breath. That's counterproductive, because what you end up with is a lungful of useless air that you've got to get rid of, which all takes time. As a guide, I wouldn't normally take a bigger breath to play the first 2 bars of this than I would for a normal sentence. It's a question of using the breath properly, a little bit of air at a very high pressure, and maintaining that pressure. It can be tricky to get from the C to the E flat at the beginning because you're going over the break. If you're playing on a conservatoire instrument, you're already attached. You've got your index finger down. If you play on a thumb plate instrument like I do, you might find it useful to put that index finger down as well. It naturally means that your fingers are over the keys for the E flat, and it's not such a jump for you. It can also improve the tone of the C, which is often a very weak note on the Cor Anglais. When you reach the climax of the phrase, when it gets to the forte in the last bar, make sure it really is forte. Allow the reed to sing. It's a useful analogy if you think of singing. Instead of using your vocal folds, as you would when you were singing, your reed is doing the job for you. So don't bite on it. Keep your embouchure relaxed and let the air go through the reed, and you'll get a really big full sound at the top. You'll also avoid the danger of going sharp, which you will definitely do if you bite your reed. I hope you found some of these ideas useful, and I would encourage you to take part in this wonderful project, and above all, enjoy making music, because that's what it's for.